Hello, thank you for joining us again on yet another episode of a Tax Chat, a program brought to you by Zambia Revenue Authority, ZRA. When we talk about the economy, many people immediately think about large companies and multinational corporations. But today we want to focus on the real backbone of our economy, such as small and medium enterprises, commonly known as SMEs. These are the business we interact with every day. The shop in your neighborhood, the market trader selling fresh products, the tailor who makes school uniforms, the saloon owner, the small manufacturer, the carpenter, the plumber, the caterer, and the transport operators across Zambia in markets, small workshops, homes, and offices. SMEs are working hard every day. They create jobs, support families, and help grow our local economy. To help us understand better this topic, which is a tax compliance for SMEs, joining me in studio is Mrs. Evelyn Mwalusaka and Mr. Edwin Walia from Zambia Revenue Authority. Mrs. Malusaka and Mr. Walia, good to have you on Tax Chat.
Thank you so much, Alice. Good morning, and good morning to our viewers.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Always.
Good morning, Alice. Good morning to our dear viewers today. It's always a pleasure to be here, Alice.
Thank you. To begin with our topic of focus, we are looking at tax compliance for SMEs. Mrs. Malusaka, we'll begin with you. We just want to find out what exactly does tax compliance for SMEs mean?
Thank you so much, Alice. Like you said, you are looking at the SMEs, tax compliance SMEs. So let me say that SMEs play a very important role in Zambia's development. And in fact, the majority of the business are coming from the SMEs. These SMEs create employment for many people and families across the country. Beyond just creating the jobs, these SMEs also contribute to the national development, like I was alluded to, and these businesses also generate income. So in one way or another, they are able to contribute to our Zambia development by paying taxes. So the question that I would say is, what are the benefits? So there are so many benefits for these SMEs as they do their business. So one of them is if they are paying taxes, those taxes will go to developing the roads. You know, when the SMEs are doing business, they have to transport their goods from here to there. So they need proper roads as well. Also, the issue of electricity, the SMEs will not do business according to what they want if the electricity is not there. Remember, SMEs used to complain about load shedding. So now these are one of the benefits that they can get. We are also looking at security. Security is also one of the benefits. And last but not the least, we are looking at education, because education is the key. So for the government to bring up to this education, they need revenue. And this revenue come from where? It will come from the taxes that we are paying. So we are saying that the SMEs comply. They should comply with their tax obligations. They are also not only building their own business, but they are also helping to build the nation. So in short, we can say that tax compliance is there for not just for legal obligation, but they should know that it is one of it that is partnered between the business and the government. Yes.
Maybe just to the viewers out there that don't really understand, I think I'd mentioned in my introduction about SMEs. Maybe they missed that out. Kapena ti mukulondolola tikambapo pali chani tikakamba ti SMEs. Maybe mungatilondololeko, Mr. Walia. In line with my question, the second question, you explain more about tax compliancy for SMEs.
Okay. Thank you, Alice.
Mhm.
And to our dear viewers today, like Madam Walusaka has explained, SMEs play a critical role in our economy. And today, this is the message that we've brought to them to ensure that they're in line with the tax laws. So with the question that you've asked, I'll quickly explain what tax compliance is and what it means to our SMEs in Zambia. So just by the word compliance, in your language, Alice, kukonga malamulo. Yes, so tax compliance is simply meeting your tax obligations as a taxpayer as and when they fall due. And as ZRA, we have 4 key pillars that measure tax compliance. Okay, so if you as a taxpayer, if you follow those 4 key pillars, then you remain compliant. So the first pillar, pillar number 1, is registration. Pillar number 2 is return filing. Then pillar number 3 is tax payments. Then lastly, but not the least, which is pillar number 4, is proper record keeping. To quickly just explain these in details, Alice, and to our dear viewers today, registration is actually the first step towards being tax compliant. So you first need to register a TPIN if you're an SME or if you're an individual conducting business. When you register a TPIN and you start operating as a business, or when you expect to start operating as a business, you then now need to register for tax types. So as ZRA, we administer different tax types depending on the nature of the business that you're doing. So we have income tax, we have turnover tax, we also have pay as you earn, and many others. So once you register with the correct tax type, you are now required as a business to then now go to pillar number 2, which is return filing. So what is return filing? A return is simply just a declaration. Okay? Alice, in your space, maybe una business, you own maybe a cantemba. Within that period, or say 1 month, okay, my sales bank, you have to declare to ZRA to say, okay, from 1st January to 31st December, 31st January, napanga ndrama za so. That's a declaration. So when you declare, you're simply filing a return. Okay? So once you file that return, it takes you to pillar number 3. Pillar number 3, which is payment of taxes. So once you file a return, it creates a liability. Okay? Then now you're required to pay for that liability. So it is not just enough to just file a return and forget. Okay? So you're now obligated to also pay for that return that you had filed to ensure that there's complete compliance. And this takes us to our last and final pillar, which is pillar number 4. Pillar number 4, like I said, is keeping proper records. In your space as a businessman, as a businesswoman, you're required to ensure that all your records in your business transactions are kept well. Your invoices, your receipts, and all financial transactions that you are dealing in your small businesses. So these 4 pillars, Alice and our dear viewers, these 4 pillars will ensure that you remain tax compliant as a business and as an individual conducting business.
But in a situation, Mr. Polia, in a situation where the SMEs don't follow these 4 pillars, what happens?
Okay, so there are consequences towards you not being tax compliant. In our discussion, we'll further elaborate on the same.
Okay.
But some of the harsh consequences is that you acquire penalties on your account. You acquire you accrue interests on your account, and that deems you to be non-compliant. And when you're non-compliant, it means you fail to bid for tenders. You fail to operate as a business normally, because you will then be inconvenienced. You will end up not even getting the most important tool, which is a tax clearance certificate. So those are just some of the consequences of not being tax compliant, Alice.
Okay. Mrs. Malusaka, tifuna oziwa ma types of compliance yamene yachita exist ne ma types ya bwanji?
Thank you very much, Alice, for that question. So apart from what Edwin has talked about, the registration and keeping records, there are levels of tax compliance. Palima levels. Kuli kuchita comply, weka chabu wazipeleka, waenda chabe ku ZRA to say, I think I want to pay, I'm registered for this tax type. So this one we call it voluntary. Mwazipeleka mweka. Then we have enforcement. Enforcement, this is where now ZRA comes in. No, we come in to conduct audit, investigations. If we've heard that people are doing business but they're not paying taxes, then we'll come in as ZRA to enforce or to do audit so that we get the correct information from that. Then we also have a non-compliance. Banja bamene swafuna kulipira, swafuna chabe kubwera kulipira, they don't want to meet their obligations. Those ones are the ones tikambati ma non-compliance. So what we are saying is that make sure that pali hivi vintu vitatu vanena kamba: voluntary, enforcement, and non-compliance. Musapezekeko kuti mwankala pali baja vochito kupatikiza. No, we want you to come forth and do what you're supposed to do. So now, when I say that this occurs to meet obligations, so nikama nati swafuna kuchita register, swafuna kuchita filing my returns, swafuna kuchita declare. Ijandrama ijamine wapanga. If you are doing business and you generate income in that particular month, and you don't want to declare, you see, this is the non-compliance we are talking about. Elo wena anguwaja, so mafuna nolipira tax. They know that they've generated income in that particular month, but they decided just to sit back and say, inasinza lipira, after all, sini vuona na vamini wachita wazedara.
Wanankala chabe.
You
are in a business.
Koma wazedara should come and tell me to say, imwelipilani, you are generating income. So there are 3 levels. Yes.
Okay. Maybe Mukuchita find out, we talk about registration. What does this mean for SMEs? Mr. Wadia.
Thank you, Alice. It is important to note that, like I said in my preamble, registration is actually the beginning or the first step towards being tax compliant. So as an individual or as a business, you are required by law to have a TPIN, a taxpayer identification number. So why is it important to have a taxpayer identification number, commonly known as a TPIN? It is important to have a TPIN as a business, even as an individual conducting a business, because now a TPIN is mandatory and it's required in many activities concerning business. Because now when you want to open a bank account, you will need a TPIN. When you want to bid for tenders, government tenders, you will need a TPIN. And many other transactions, you require a to have a valid tax, a valid TPN, because even when you're just buying goods outside Zambia, you cannot import or export goods without having a TPN certificate. Also, for you to register for a certain tax type, you are required to have that taxpayer identification number. But maybe some SMEs may be wondering, how do I then register for this TPN? So now we've made things simple. At ZRA, we've gone digital. So you can simply just go on our website and also register your TPN on our tax online system. If you are unable to maneuver with the technology that has been put in place, you are required to just come through our offices. So you can just visit any of our nearest ZRA offices. Then we can assist you to have a TPN.
Okay. Mrs. Malusaka, nanga ma common tax types ya ma SMEs ni ya bwanja minetifunika kuziba.
Thank you so much, Alice, for that question. So, as SMEs, there are certain tax types that they're supposed to register for. And I'm looking at these tax types. We have turnover tax, we have income tax, and we have pay as you earn. So, small medium enterprise, they belong to these tax types that I've talked about. Income tax, turnover tax, or pay as you earn. So now let me explain pali turnover tax. So a taxpayer applies for turnover tax if their threshold ijandrama ya minimum mapanga in a year is above 5 million, is below 5 million. That wapanga 5 million and below. So they're supposed to register for turnover tax. Ngati bapanga 5 million and above, they have increased their income. Bafuniko chita register for income tax. So not only that, we also have pay as you earn. So my business ya ngati yalina my employees. Wanachitako, employ my employees. Bafunika nakweve kuchita register for pay as you earn. Besides that, also there's VAT. So VAT is charged on goods and services at the rate of 16%. So what we are saying is that ngat business yako ipanga ndrama ya 800 yafika pa 800,000 wafunika kuchita register for VAT. Olongat business ipanga maybe 200,000 in 3 consecutive months. 200,000 for 3 months. So wafunika futi kushita register for VAT. So what we are saying that taxpayers, small medium enterprise, please know that these 3 tax types you are supposed to register. Paja mkashita register business ngati nkupakira mwabwera ku ZRA. If you don't know which tax type ufuniko nkala mubwera ku ZRA, they will either put you on TOT or mungankale pa income tax or mungankale pa pay as you earn if you have employees. Ngati mulina ma goods and services ya mine muchita futi, you can register for VAT as long as your income is 800,000. Also ngati mupanga 200,000 maybe for the 3 months, consecutive 3 months, you can also register for VAT.
Okay. Pamela wakalibu okutirondolako pali ma penalties yamne machita apply Mr. Walia. Mrs. Malusaka tingafuna kushitako understand maybe my challenges many bama facing my SMEs with tax compliance near branch.
My challenges bama facing my SMEs, I think one of them I can say that they will register a business, but to register, then they forget to come to ZRA to say, okay, manja panashita register, or woba bwela tabashita register, maybe tabaika pa turnover tax. after we've registered for turnover tax, then they go out now to do business. So wakaenda kuja vamaivala kati kuli kuchita filing ma returns, kuli kumaking ma payments ngati in that particular month they've generated income. So these are the challenges upeze kati, or maybe wachedwa, maybe turnover tax is supposed to be paid between the 1st and the 14th. Babwela wapitiriza walipira pa 16. So upeze kati ma penalties yabwera manje yabagwira. So we are saying that these challenges, please, they should not be on the SMEs. That's why we are here to give you information. Yes.
Mr. Wada, tamvera pali ma challenges mnyama facing ma SMEs with tax compliance. Maybe apa manje tifuna uziba pali ma penalties yamne machita apply when SMEs fail to comply near Banji.
Thank you, Alice. So monga mwa bachita explain wa Madam Walusaka. As SMEs, sometimes mwapezeka tu wakashita register vima kambira wa Malusaka ama tax types. Sometimes wankana ma challenges ya kwebati vaibara tuwafuni koshita fao return na kososhita chan kupanga payment. So now, when that happens, already there's a problem there. And you as a taxpayer, as an SME, you failed to honor your obligation as a taxpayer. So there are consequences towards that, and these are the penalties we're talking about. So kachedwa, there are two things that we are talking about here. So there's a late filing of a return, wachedwa shita file return. And by virtue of you, kuchedwa shita file return, it attracts a penalty. And ukachedwa, it means na payment uzachedwa kupanga. That also attracts a penalty, which we are calling a late payment penalty. It is charged at 0.5%. Previously, it was at 5%, but now it's been reduced to 0.5% to encourage our SMEs to voluntarily comply. So we are saying to avoid these penalties, let's file our returns on time. Let's make payments on time. Ngatizi watima chedwa, tizi watima ibara. Wafaka koche nanguka ala mpafoni. Kambati ZRA. Once karibu, nishi yakuza toke nifuni koshita comply hapa. Nifuni kopanga payment, olo nifuni koshita file return. So that's our message to our taxpayers today.
Okay. In case you've just joined us, you are watching Tax Chat, a program brought to you by Zambia Revenue Authority, and today we are looking at tax compliance with SMEs. In case you want to send in your contribution or any comment, you can simply use the numbers showing on the screen, or better still, you can write a message on our Facebook page, or if you want to talk to ZRA, Zambia Revenue Authority, you can do that by simply calling on the toll-free number, which is 4111. For now, we go on a short break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Today, you probably helped save a life. Or perhaps helped keep a watchful eye on a neighborhood. Today, you probably helped put food on someone's table. Or help build a road that leads to a destiny. You may have even helped shape the minds of our future. By paying your taxes, you help keep critical medical staff in a job, a school to run, or a neighborhood safe, and a whole lot more. Your taxes help Zambia become better for you and me. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Welcome back. You are watching Tax Chat with a Zambia Revenue Authority. And before we went on a break, we were talking about the penalties that happens if you don't comply. And just to dive into another question, Mrs. Malusaka, Tifuno Ziva, why is smart invoice important for SMEs?
Thank you so much, Alice. That's a very, very important question. So Smart Invoice as ZRI, it's a game changer. So Smart Invoice is it's a system that is a digital solution. It's electronic system that is used so that we ensure that all taxpayers who issue my invoices use this system. So it allows the business to issue electronic invoices, like I've said, and automatically records the sales. So these sales that they record, what should I say? As an SMEs, tifuna business yanu ikazinkala is when you're doing to make business easier. So what Smart Invoice has done now is you can keep your records better instead of using manual. You know, kulemba mabuku, lero mwalemba ma sales mwaika, mailo mkalemba mwaika, but Smart Invoice, because it's done electronically. So as you are doing your business, as you are transacting whatever you're doing, you are using the system. There's no issue of paper. The other thing is each time improve business. You know, it also lessens time for you now. Kuyamba tenga mabuku, kulemba. As you are doing your business, everything is recorded on the system, and then it also reduces the cost of doing business. Mabuku yaja, maleja, machani yaja, niwenzo chita, tukindo gula yaja, nindalama zijaka. So what we are saying that the Smart Invoice, there's nothing like that. So it reduces the cost of doing business, and also transparency. Because Smart Invoice, like I said, you are doing business and everything, it's on real time. But once vavene muchita at that particular time, it's been recorded. So kulibati no ninapanga 500, then mwabwera mwachita declare 200. Everything will be just done as you are doing your business. So on that same thing, I can say that the most important feature at Smart Invoice solution is that if the system is not there, maybe internet or something, these days muvera tuno kulibe internet yaenda.
Really down.
So you can do your business within 72 hours. You can do manual. But after the 72 hours, you can still go back. Mwaenda futi manje mwamba kushita enter ya jama ma invoice on zion samini mwezi mwashita manyo. You can still go back to Smart Invoice and enter them. That's what we are saying. So all VAT registered business are required to use Smart Invoice system. That's what we are saying when issuing an invoice. Yes, it's all VAT registered, but I would urge my small medium enterprise to start also using Smart Invoice, because isimungazibe kapena mairo government ingabwere kamat. No, everyone should be on board. Use the Smart Invoice. So you can start now, and then you keep on improving until the time that it will be mandatory like VAT is. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe tufuno to find out Mr. Bwalia business ingatika libochitapo comply before. What should they do?
Okay, thank you, Alice. That's a very, very important question. Thank you. We should also make it known to the general public and to our SMEs out there. Now, as ZRA, we've implemented what we're calling a voluntary disclosure program. I think from the previous series that you've had, we've had officers that have come to talk about this, but I'll also emphasize to say, as ZRA, we open on an open door policy and we listen to our taxpayers. So this program actually allows taxpayers that haven't been compliant before. This means maybe they haven't been declaring correct returns, okay?
Mhm.
And also they haven't been declaring the correct income. Or maybe there were some errors on the return that were not correctly done. So we are saying today that come to us before we come to you.
Mhm.
Noti tikabukumana
Ubweru panjira
munjira
tinaweza
atwazedala
kubwera.
nezebwera kusta regularize account yanga.
Mhm.
No. So what we're saying in this voluntary disclosure program, we're saying if you have incomes that you wrongly declared or returns that you previously wrongly filed, you can make amends to that. And the benefit is that we waive out all those interests. Also, you avoid enforcement actions on your account.
Mhm.
So tikambati bwerani kuno mupempe forgiveness if azedaraye tizakukhululukirani.
Mhm.
And that's the message. This is to allow our SMEs that have before not been tax compliant. So do not be scared that kulima declarations emnapanga wrong ni kudala. But the message today is that bwerani to regularize account tax account yani, so that encourage bwino, and if there will be any penalties that will arise towards that, we shall waive them off. That's the message, Alice.
Okay, thank you. As we conclude, Mrs. Malusaka, what is your message to the SMEs out there?
Thank you so much, Alice. So the message that we have to our viewers, our SMEs, is that running a business is something that is you have to be a hard worker. You have to be dedicated. So umumu dedication na hard working nakabanati, I mean you need to ensure that you are tax compliant, because we've talked about the consequences of not being tax compliant. So we are urging our taxpayers, our small medium enterprise, that they should remember to be tax compliant and not just to do things the way they want. They should also comply. You know, it is also a job opportunity for them. So what we are saying is that a tax compliance business should access, you know, when you're tax compliance, you're able to access loans.
Mhm.
Because at some point you have that tax clearance, there's the common TCC. Uzankala nayo. So if you're tax compliance, uzaenda ukatenge loan ku government, and then also mu government mumankalako matenda, you have to go and bid for that tender, isn't it?
Mhm.
So if you're tax compliance, this is a voter, you will go there and get that tender. Instead of you, at the point that you're supposed to get tender, wakuza nanga TCC recruit. Then mwakamba, nilibeswa nanipase, which means you are not tax compliant. So make sure that the tax compliance aspect is something that you should be thinking all the time that you're doing business. And then we are saying that build credibility. You know, when you're doing business and someone wants to come to you to do business, as long as you are tax compliance, you'll be able to do business without any issues, with a free mind, because you know that you're tax compliance. And then also, it also helps you to grow in terms of stability, because there will be no issues of there are penalties on my account, I didn't file in my return. So what we are saying to our taxpayers that your tax will help build the nation. Remember, we are saying that most of the small medium enterprise make about 70% of this national development. They do a lot to the nation. They develop the nation, actually. So we are encouraging them that they should just follow the laws and their obligations, what they're supposed to do. Now, the other thing I would urge our taxpayers finally is that members of the public to protect government revenue by acting for using Smart Invoice. Smart Invoice is a game changer. Please, we are urging our taxpayers, even if they are small, medium, or whatever it is, they should also on board on Smart Invoice. Whenever you're doing business, whenever you are issuing those invoices, make sure that you use a Smart Invoice. Ngati kuli problem, you can still visit us. Like we always say, We are all over. We are dotted all over. So if you have challenges, you can still come to our ZRA. And we have the centers. They are dotted all over. You have East Park, you have Cosmopolitan, you have Ministry of Lands, you have Civic Center, and of course HQ. Please, if you have challenges in anything to do with taxes, mwabwera mwatichita visit osati mulinkezi kunyumba muganza chapati nikaenda ku ZRA manje wazanuza ati nolipirani. Then we have our website, our www.zra.org.zm. Our call center number, it's 4111. It's a toll-free line. Please don't hesitate. You can call that line. And then we have also our email address. Our email address is advice@zra.org.zm. So I've mentioned about 3 of them. If you can't get us on the phone, on the 4111, you can write to us on the advice@zra.org.zm. If you can't get us on that, you can still send us on www.zra.org.zm. Zikavuta hizo, mungabwele to any of our service centers. We'll be able to help you. So for that, I would really urge our taxpayers to ensure that they are tax compliant, they register their business, they make payments on time, and also register on time for the correct tax type. Thank you.
Well, Mrs. Malusak and Mr. Walia, it's always a pleasure having you on Tax Chat.
Thank you,
Thank
Alice.
you, Alice.
Well, we've come to the end of the program. I believe you've learned 1 or 2 things about the topic of focus that we had today, which was a tax compliance with SMEs. Thank you for tuning in to Lumen TV and for watching Tax Chat, a program brought to you by Zambia Revenue Authority. Remember, it's my tax, your tax, our destiny.